From the time I was little, something in me was always a little off. I never listened to the whole story. Only half of it. My grandmother called me a good-for-nothing who was financially burdening the family. She bought a little boy to be my younger brother and told me to take good care of him. I understood the part about buying a child. So I immediately called the police and reported her for illegal human trafficking. My father pointed at my face and cursed me for being unfilial, accusing me of cutting off his family line. I obeyed him, crept into his room while he slept that night, and used a knife to cut off his lineage. My father screamed in agony. In the chaos, he accidentally killed me. When I opened my eyes again, I had transmigrated into the female lead of a melodramatic abuse novel. After 10 years of marriage to the cruel male lead, his childhood sweetheart had just returned from abroad and was undergoing kidney surgery. He dragged me to the hospital and cruelly ordered me to donate a kidney to his precious first love. I nodded obediently, went out and bought a pig, and on the spot dug out the pig's kidney and handed it to him. The mailman's expression darkened to something frightening. "Lily, are you an idiot? I told you to donate a kidney. A human kidney. Do you have any idea how important Wendy is to me? She once saved my life. I have to repay that debt of gratitude." I thought it over for a moment, then nodded in understanding. "I'm sorry, I misunderstood earlier." My docility made him pause slightly. The fury in his eyes cooled by several degrees, and his tone softened as well. "It is fine. Go get yourself ready." I nodded, then gently poured him a glass of water, perhaps feeling a bit guilty about shouting at me. He drank it. Soon after, he said he felt sleepy and told me to make proper pre-op preparations while he went to rest in the ward. Smiling, I followed behind him. After watching him lie down, I called a nurse over first. "The kidney donor is ready." I watched, deeply moved as the male lead was wheeled into the operating room. When the red light above the operating room door came on, tears welled up in my eyes. I never expected him to be willing to donate a kidney just to repay a life-saving favor. I had to tell his childhood sweetheart about this touching act. "Lily, why are you still here? Shouldn't you be in the operating room?" A sharp voice questioned me from behind. I turned back in confusion and rummaged through my memories until I recognized the woman in front of me. Who was the male lead's childhood sweetheart? Wendy Cooper. I tilted my head puzzled. "Wendy, shouldn't you be in surgery right now?" She strode over quickly and pointed at the operating room. "If you are here, then who is in there?" I answered honestly, "The male." "Oh, right." I corrected myself, "Matt." Wendy's eyes flew wide open. "What? You actually let Matt go into surgery? Willie? Are you stupid?" I blinked my large, innocent eyes. "He said you were his childhood sweetheart and that you once saved his life. He said he had to personally repay that life-saving debt at my words." Wendy was deeply shaken. Her eyes reddened slightly as she looked at the operating room with emotion. I blinked again and asked curiously, "Wendy, aren't you supposed to be having surgery? Why are you standing here?" She shot me a glare. "I'm going in for surgery right now." "Oh." I believed her and watched her retreating figure with genuine emotion. What a pair of... I thought about it for a long time, but couldn't come up with the right words. Calling them a pair of lovebirds didn't seem right. They weren't married. Matt and I were the married couple, so that wouldn't work. But Matt didn't like me. I'd seen on television that when a husband and wife don't love each other, they can choose to divorce. I patted my slightly defective head and pulled out my phone to contact a lawyer about divorce. When Matt was wheeled out of the operating room, I dutifully went over to take care of him as his wife should. When he finally woke up and noticed the incision on his chest, he immediately demanded, "Lily, what did you do to me?" I blinked and answered truthfully, "A kidney donation surgery." He glared at me furiously. "Are you stupid, Lily? I told you to donate your kidney. Why did you donate mine?" Before I could say a word, Wendy walked in with reddened eyes and threw herself into Matt's arms, overcome with emotion. "Thank you. I never imagined you'd be willing to go this far for me." Crying so hard, she looked pitiful. Wendy successfully dampened Matt's rage. His gaze softened, the emotions in his eyes turning as sweet as honey. Even his voice grew gentle. "For you, I'd do anything. When he looked at me again, his eyes turned vicious. Can't you see I am a patient? Hurry up and get me something to eat. I didn't want to, but I was his wife. We weren't divorced yet, so I had a responsibility. The problem was I didn't know how to cook. But he ordered me to do it anyway. Following my memories, I went home and step by step followed instructions on my phone to cook some porridge. Then brought it to the hospital. He flew into a rage and dumped my food straight into the trash. Lily, did you do this on purpose? Are you trying to kill me so you can become a widow? I blinked. Then that night, I started sharpening a knife. The sound of my sharpening woke Matt when he saw the cleaver in my hand. His face went deathly pale. He screamed and ran out of the room. After that, a nurse politely escorted me out. But Matt was the one who said I should become a widow. Even went out of my way to look up what being widowed meant. And being widowed meant I would be free of my husband. After being kicked out, I felt deeply regretful that I couldn't become a widow. For a long while after that, Matt didn't call for me again. So I focused wholeheartedly on figuring out the divorce. Even drafted a divorce agreement. Half a month later, Matt called. Wendy just graduated and is still a medical intern. She wants to practice surgery. Bring your mom over and let Wendy practice on her mom. Grandma once said that girls were nothing but good for nothings. And financially burden the family. They would eventually be married off. Once married, your husband's mother became your real mother. And you were nothing but an outsider to your birth family. Once I got married, I was only allowed to acknowledge one mother in this life. My mother-in-law. But my mother-in-law was Matt's real mother. Was he sure? I hesitated. But what if she dies? He answered impatiently. Then she dies. She should consider herself lucky that she has chosen to help Wendy practice. I thought for a moment, then asked. What if Mom doesn't agree? Matt grew even more annoyed. Don't you know how to drug her? You were so good at drugging me last time. Can't you do it again? He hung up. Tapped to end the recording. I might be a little slow. But after hearing my situation, the lawyer felt very sorry for me. Because I am missing a screw and only ever hear half of what is said. The lawyer was worried I wouldn't remember things. He told me to record every call with Matt. Said it might help later when it came time to divide property. I am very obedient. As soon as I hung up, I sent the recording to the lawyer. Right now, I was still Matt's wife. So I was supposed to listen to him. Grandma always said that as long as you are someone's wife, even for one day, you must listen to your husband for that day. But the police officer said, I can't break the law. After thinking it over, I called Matt back. We can't do this. It is illegal. Matt snapped impatiently. Then bring your mom to me. I'll handle it myself. That didn't give me a chance to refuse. Before hanging up again, I blinked. Only then did I realize I'd forgotten to start the recording. But it was just 1 or 2 sentences. Probably not important. I was only calling my mother-in-law to meet with her son. That should be fine, right? I called my mother-in-law. By the time she arrived, I headed over. As well. When I got there and went to look for her, I was told she'd already been sent into the operating room. I was surprised that fast. Had Matt drugged her and sent her in? Didn't he know that was his own mother? I went to the operating room entrance and happened to see Matt. He was holding Wendy's hand, chatting and laughing. As I walked over, I stepped forward to remind him. Matt, do you even know who was sent into surgery? At that, Wendy, who had been smiling, suddenly teared up. If Lily doesn't want to help me, then forget it. She doesn't trust that I am capable enough. Lily must be worried about me. I hurriedly waved my hands. No. No, that is not it. I am just worried about Matt. After all, that is. Matt shoved me aside impatiently. What is there to worry about? It is not my mom. I may be missing a screw, but I still had a conscience. I chased after them. What if the practice surgery fails? I know I am not in a position to say this, but that is still a human life. Matt rolled his eyes. Practice surgeries are risky. If she dies all right. I already signed the risk consent form on your behalf. I am your mom's family. I have the right to sign. I reached out to stop him before I could speak. Matt shoved me hard and frowned as he shut the operating room doors. Just before the doors closed, I saw Wendy turn and smile smugly at me, silently mouthing that she would never let my mom come out alive. I was pushed to the ground. I climbed back up, dusted off my pants, and shook my head helplessly. The one receiving the practice surgery wasn't even my real mom. What was I worried about? I hadn't expected Matt to be this ruthless. It seemed bringing up divorce had been the right decision. The lawyer handed me the drafted divorce agreement, and I sat waiting outside the operating room. 3 hours later, they came out laughing and chatting. Matt pulled off his mask and said to me, "Coolly, Lily. Your mom is dead." I also had Wendy dissect her so she could study the human body. Then he tossed me a body donation consent form. "Sign it with his hands in his pockets." Matt looked at me with nothing but indifference. "What kind of compensation do you want? Say it and I'll give it to you." I shook my head. "I can't sign this." "Only you can. You are her son." I quickly handed him the divorce agreement. "You don't like me and we're not suited to be husband and wife. Let's get divorced." Matt's eyes darkened sharply. "So your compensation is divorce and taking half of my assets?" He slammed the divorce agreement hard into my face. I didn't expect this. "Lily. You are more calculating than I thought. Every clause your lawyer wrote is airtight. But why should my property go to you? If you want a divorce, fine. But only if you leave with nothing." I answered honestly. The lawyer said, "This is my right," thinking of what Grandma always said. That once a woman marries, she should put her husband's family first. I added, "I am doing this for your own good. If something happens to you, at least you'll still have half your assets. Otherwise, you might end up with nothing." He clenched his teeth and shouted that I was cursing him. Wendy stepped in looking aggrieved. "Matt, this is all my fault. I was too foolish and messed up during practice. Lily must be blaming me. That is why she wants to divorce you." She sobbed as she spoke. Then said she would give her life to repay my mother. Crying, she even made as if to rush toward the window. Matt grabbed her and coaxed her gently. "Wendy, don't do this. It hurts me to see you like this." As he comforted her, Wendy fainted. His gaze toward me grew even more hateful as he swept her up into his arms. Then he barked at me viciously. "There is no way I am giving you half. If you want compensation, I can give you a little. Some assets, but anything related to the company. Don't even think about touching it." Unhappy, I went back to the lawyer and explained the situation. The lawyer gave me another divorce agreement. This one no longer divided the assets in half. That company was worth billions, with enormous cash flow and monthly net profits in the millions. He also owned a great deal of fixed property. This new agreement divided the fixed assets, giving me 2/3 of them and allocated another portion of liquid assets. Compared to company shares, it was less but far more practical. I didn't understand. So the lawyer explained. "First, ask for the moon. Then when you make a second demand, they're more likely to agree." I took the new divorce agreement and went to Matt. He glanced at it impatiently, then even praised me for being sensible. After signing, he said, "This is your compensation. Hurry up and sign the death certificate paperwork. And take your mom away. The divorce proceedings take 1 month to complete." Hearing that, I truly didn't understand. Hadn't he even looked at his mother's face during the dissection? I said, "Matt, I can't sign this and I can't take her away. You are her son. Only you can sign take her or don't. If you don't, she'll stay in the morgue forever." Matt impatiently drove me out. I went home, packed a few changes of clothes and left. He never contacted me again. Instead, Wendy kept posting on social media, showing off how well Matt treated her, where they traveled, what they did. She said it was because her practice surgery had failed, and he was taking her out to relax. A month later, the divorce proceedings were finalized, and all assets had been transferred. Matt and Wendy arrived at the courthouse hand in hand. As soon as he got the divorce certificate, Wendy immediately registered their marriage. She flaunted the marriage certificate in front of me, deliberately hugging and kissing Matt right before my eyes. Just then, a doctor called Matt, urging him, "Mr. Ryden, your mother's body has been in the morgue for a month now. When will you come to claim it?" Matt's expression changed instantly. Matt froze holding the phone. His face turned a mixture of red and green that was quite fascinating to watch. He yelled into the receiver. "What kind of sick joke is this? My mother is perfectly fine at home." The doctor on the other end sounded confused and offended. "Mr. Ryden. We have the admission records right here. You personally signed the risk consent form for the practice surgery. And you personally signed the body donation form. Have you forgotten?" Matt's hand began to tremble. He looked at the phone, then at me, and finally at Wendy. Wendy's face had lost all its color. She looked like a sheet of paper. She grabbed Matt's arm, her fingernails digging into his suit jacket. "Matt, it's a mistake. It has to be a mistake. Lily's mom is the one who died. Lily brought her mom. I operated on Lily's mom." She was screaming, but her voice was shaking. I blinked and took a step back, afraid she might try to scratch me. I spoke up softly. "Wendy, I told you. I told you both. Grandma said that when a woman marries, she leaves her own family. Her husband's parents become her only parents. I am Matt's wife. So my mother is Matt's mother. I brought the only mother I was allowed to acknowledge." Matt dropped his phone. It hit the marble floor of the courthouse with a loud crack. The screen shattered, much like the expression on his face. He rushed toward me, his hands reaching out as if to strangle me. "You crazy woman. You brought my mother? You let Wendy kill my mother?" I retreated behind a security guard who was watching the commotion. I poked my head out and corrected him. "I didn't let her. You did. You told me to drug her. You told me if she dies, she dies. You said she should be lucky to contribute to Wendy's education. I recorded it. Do you want to hear it again?" I reached for my phone. Matt stopped in his tracks. His eyes were bloodshot, bulging out of his head. He looked terrifying, like the demons Grandma used to tell stories about. He turned slowly to look at Wendy. Wendy was backing away, shaking her head frantically. "No, Matt. I didn't know. I thought it was that old hag, I mean, Lily's mother. If I knew it was Auntie, I never would have." She covered her mouth, realizing she had said too much. Matt's voice was a low growl. "You said the dissection was fun. You said her heart was black. You laughed about how she struggled before the anesthesia took full effect." Wendy burst into tears. "Matt, please. I was just trying to vent my anger at Lily. I didn't mean to hurt your mom." Matt slapped her. The sound echoed through the hallway. Wendy fell to the ground, clutching her face, looking at her new husband in disbelief. We had been divorced for exactly 10 minutes. And they had been married for exactly 5. This was supposed to be their happy ending. I checked the time on my phone. My lawyer sent me a message saying the transfer of titles was complete. I now owned the villa Matt lived in, the apartment Wendy stayed in, and 2 office buildings downtown. I also had a very large sum of cash in my account. I felt it was time to leave. "I have to go now," I said politely. "I have to go buy groceries." Matt lunged at me again, but the security guard held him back. "You're not going anywhere. You killed my mother. I'm going to sue you. I'm going to send you to prison." I shook my head. "I didn't kill anyone. Wendy did. You signed the permission." "I just followed orders." I turned and walked away. Behind me, I could hear Matt screaming and Wendy sobbing. I walked out of the courthouse and took a deep breath. The air smelled like freedom. And maybe a little bit like exhaust fumes, but mostly freedom. I took a taxi to the hospital. I felt I should at least go see my mother-in-law one last time. Even though she never liked me. She used to make me scrub the floors with a toothbrush. She said it built character. Grandma would have liked her. When I arrived at the morgue, the police were already there. Matt and Wendy had arrived before me, presumably speeding. Matt was on his knees beside a covered gurney, howling in grief. Wendy was standing in the corner, handcuffed. I blinked. Handcuffed? That was fast. A police officer saw me and walked over. "Are you Lily Ryden?" I nodded, then shook my head. "I am Lily, but not Ryden anymore. We divorced today." The officer looked at his notepad. "Right. We have some questions regarding the deceased, Mrs. Beatrice Ryden." I answered everything honestly. I told him about the phone call. I told him about the demand for a practice subject. I told him about the drugging. I played the recording for him. The officer's face grew very dark as he listened to Matt's voice saying, "If she dies, she dies." He looked at Matt, who was still crying. Sir, you are under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder and illegal disposal of a body. Matt stopped crying. He looked up, his face splotchy. What? I didn't know it was my mom. The officer shrugged. It doesn't matter who you thought it was. You conspired to have a human being killed during an unauthorized medical procedure. And the surgeon, Mrs. Wendy Ryden, has admitted to intentionally ensuring the patient did not survive. Wendy shrieked from the corner. I didn't mean it. I was framed. Lily tricked us. The officer looked at me. Did you trick them? I blinked my large, innocent eyes. I just did what my husband told me. He said bring Mom. I brought Mom. I even tried to stop them at the door. I warned them it was a human life. Matt pushed me down. There are cameras outside the operating room. You can check. The officer nodded. We already have the footage. It corroborates your story. You tried to intervene. Mr. Ryden assaulted you and proceeded with the operation. Matt stood up, staggering. Lily. You set me up. You knew. You knew I thought it was your mother. I tilted my head. Why does it matter whose mother it was? Should my mother die just so Wendy can practice? Is my mother not a human? Matt opened his mouth, but no words came out. He looked at the hate in the police officer's eyes. He looked at the disgust on the faces of the nurses standing nearby. He realized that saying I only meant to kill her mother was not a good defense. The police dragged both of them away. Matt was screaming that he was the CEO of Ryden Corp. He screamed that he would buy the police station. Wendy was screaming that she was pregnant. I blinked. She was pregnant? That explained why Matt was so eager to marry her. But if she was pregnant, why was she doing surgery? Aren't there rules about that? I decided it wasn't my problem. I signed the paperwork to have my mother-in-law cremated. Since Matt was arrested, next of kin responsibilities fell to me, or at least the hospital let me do it to clear the morgue. I bought a nice urn. It was pink. Mother-in-law hated pink. She said it was a frivolous color. I thought she might like a change of pace. The next few days were very quiet. I stayed in a hotel because I didn't want to go back to the villa yet. I watched the news on TV. The scandal was huge. CEO and mistress-turned-wife arrested in gruesome mavricide plot. The stock price of Ryden Corp plummeted. It went down like a stone dropped in a well. Straight to the bottom. My lawyer called me. He sounded very happy. Lily, you are a genius. I didn't feel like a genius. I was just eating a sandwich. He explained that because I had taken the fixed assets, the buildings and the land, my wealth was safe. Matt had kept the company shares. Now the shares were worthless. The board of directors had fired Matt. The banks were seizing his assets to pay off company debts. But they couldn't touch my buildings. The divorce agreement was signed and processed before the scandal broke. It was legal. So, Matt was not only in prison, but he was also broke. And I was very rich. I finished my sandwich and wiped my mouth. That is good, I said. Does this mean I don't have to cook porridge anymore? The lawyer laughed. No, Lily. You can hire a 5-star chef to cook porridge for you. I liked the sound of that. A month later, I went to visit Matt in the detention center. I didn't really want to, but the lawyer said Matt was refusing to sign some final papers regarding the transfer of a vacation home. He insisted on seeing me. When I saw him, he looked terrible. His head was shaved. He had lost weight. He looked like a dried-up vegetable. When he saw me, he slammed his fist against the glass. You witch. You planned this all along. I blinked. I didn't plan anything. I just listened to you. He grit his teeth. You knew I didn't know. You used my own words against me. I nodded. Yes. Words are important. Grandma said you should always mean what you say. You said you would do anything for Wendy. You gave your mother for her. That is very romantic. Matt looked like he was going to have a stroke. Shut up. Get me out of here. If you get the best lawyers, if you use the money from the buildings, you can get me out on bail. I'll forgive you. I'll even let you be my wife again. Wendy is useless. She's just crying all the time. She blames me. I realized I loved you all along, Lily. You were obedient. You were quiet. I looked at him with genuine curiosity. But I don't love you, Matt. You tried to take my kidney. You tried to kill my mom. You made me sharpen a knife. You are not a good person. And I am already widowed. He looked confused. Widowed? I'm still alive. I shook my head. In my heart, you are dead. And legally, I am single. So it is the same thing. I stood up. I'm not paying for a lawyer. I'm going to use the money to travel. I've never been abroad. I want to see the penguins. Matt screamed as I walked away. He screamed until the guards dragged him back. I didn't look back. I had seen enough of him. I went to see Wendy next. She was in a different facility. She looked even worse than Matt. Her hair was messy and she had dark circles under her eyes. When she saw me, she didn't scream. She just cried. Lily, please help me. I can't have this baby in prison. Matt lied to me. He said he would protect me. He said you were stupid. He said we could take everything from you. I nodded. I know. I heard him say those things. But I am not the one in prison. Wendy sobbed. I'm a doctor. I have a bright future. I can't lose my license. I tilted my head. But you killed someone. You dissected a living person. You enjoyed it. I saw you smile. You mouthed the words to me. You said she would never come out alive. Wendy's face twisted. I thought it was your mother. She deserved it for raising an idiot like you. I sighed. My mother died when I was born. That's why my father hated me. So you couldn't have killed her anyway. Wendy stared at me. Her jaw dropped. You didn't have a mother? I shook my head. Just a stepmother. And she is in another city. So you really killed Matt's mom for no reason. Wendy started laughing. It was a high, shrill sound. She laughed until she started choking. I stood up. I hope the baby is a good person. Better than you and Matt. But Grandma said the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. So I worry for the baby. I left her laughing and crying in the visiting room. I walked out of the prison and looked at the sky. It was blue. Very blue. I called a taxi. Where to, miss? The driver asked. I thought about it. The airport, I said. I want to go see the penguins. And maybe I will buy a pig farm. A real one this time. I really did like that pig I bought for the kidney. He was cute. I think I will name the first pig Matt. And the second one Wendy. And I will treat them very well. I will feed them the best slop. Because unlike the real Matt and Wendy, pigs are useful. They provide bacon. Matt and Wendy only provided headaches. I smiled. For the first time in my life, I felt like my head wasn't defective at all. Maybe everyone else was just too complicated. I closed my eyes and listened to the wind rushing past the window. The story was over. My story was just beginning. 2 years later. The air in Antarctica was cold. Much colder than the freezer where Matt's mom had stayed. I adjusted my parka and watched the penguins waddle toward the water. They were clumsy. They fell over a lot. I liked them. They reminded me of me. Except they didn't have to donate kidneys to their husbands' mistresses. My phone buzzed in my thick pocket. I pulled it out. It was a notification from a news app. I had set alerts for Ryden Corp. The headline read, Former CEO Matthew Ryden sentenced to life without parole. Another headline below it, Disgraced surgeon Wendy Cooper sentenced to 25 years. I swiped the screen. There was a picture of Matt. He looked old. He looked angry. I felt nothing. No sadness. No joy. Just a simple acknowledgement of a fact. Like knowing that water is wet or that fire is hot. I put the phone away. A tour guide waved at me. Miss Lily. Come look at this. A baby seal. I waddled over in my heavy snow pants. The baby seal was white and fluffy with big black eyes. It blinked at me. I blinked back. It barked. I smiled. I had traveled to many places in the last 2 years. I saw the pyramids. I saw the Great Wall. I ate pizza in Italy. I learned that I am actually quite good at cooking, as long as no one yells at me while I do it. I even met a man. His name is Oliver. He is a vet. He likes animals. He is quiet. He doesn't call me stupid. When I told him my story, he didn't laugh. He just held my hand and said, that sounds very hard. He didn't ask for my kidney. He just asked if I wanted to share his fries. I liked him. We weren't married. I didn't want to get married again. Grandma said marriage is like a gamble, and I had already lost once. But Oliver said we could just be partners. Partners sounded nice. Like cowboys. Or business associates. But with more hugging. I returned to the hotel where Oliver was waiting. He had hot cocoa ready. Did you see the penguins? He asked. I nodded. They were good. Did you see the news? I asked. He nodded. He reached out and fixed my messy hair. Are you okay? I took a sip of the cocoa. It was sweet. I am okay, I said. I am better than okay. I am free. Oliver smiled. Good. Because I was thinking. He hesitated. I blinked. What? He pulled out a brochure. There is a pig sanctuary in New Zealand that needs funding. And volunteers. I thought you might like to go. My eyes lit up. A pig sanctuary? Can I name them? He laughed. You can name them whatever you want. I thought about Matt and Wendy. No. I wouldn't name them Matt and Wendy. That would be an insult to the pigs. I would name them Lucky and Happy. And maybe one named Grandma. Okay, I said. Let's go. We packed our bags the next day. Life is simple if you let it be. You eat when you are hungry. You sleep when you are tired. You run away when someone tries to cut you open. And you punish bad people by following their instructions exactly. I patted my head. Maybe my screw was never loose. Maybe it was just tightened in a different direction. And that direction led me here. To the bottom of the world, with a cup of cocoa and a man who shares his fries. I looked out the window at the vast white snow. I whispered to the wind. Goodbye, Matt. Goodbye, Wendy. Thank you for the money. I promised to spend it all on happiness.